welcome to Wednesday's Talking Reds. We are here at a rather gloomy Liverpool waterfront. I'm alongside Josh Sexton, who always cheers me up a little bit. But I'm down, Josh. I had to bring the big coat out today. It's still July. What's going on?
I've no idea what the weather's doing at the moment, to be honest. It's gone from being like 30 degrees last week when we arrived back from America to this, really.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first of many mentions of Josh having been in America. You're going to hear today. He's got his brand new shirt on as well. He's fully representing. But yeah, it is still July. And the reason I know it's still July is because Liverpool's pre-season is still going. We've got the final game. Well, technically the final game, if you want to count the Community Shield as the start of the season, is tonight against Lyon, Josh. And we finally got most of the big guys back together. Most of the full squad. We've got Alisson back, we've got Salah, we've got Firmino. Are you expecting to see a performance, if not necessarily a team, that looks a little bit more like the Liverpool that we know and love?
I think it's strange, isn't it? Because that Napoli game, there was actually a bit of rhythm which started to come into Liverpool's play, and that sounds strange to say because, you know, if you look at the sort of base of it, it was a 3-0 loss to Napoli in a pre-season game, but it was throughout the tour, like Liverpool looked a bit disjointed at times. It looked like they were lacking that rhythm, that sort of consistency, and then it started to come towards the end in the Sporting Lisbon game. I thought, you know, the Napoli game in some ways we actually showed some of our best flashes of that kind of Liverpool football starting to break out. I think, you know, we said it throughout loads of the content while we were in America that, you know, Klopp looked like he was sort of trying to try a few things. And I think, you know, maybe this is the game where, you know, he's had them working hard in Evian, and it just sort of looks to revert slightly, you know, pull back some of them things that maybe he tried which aren't working, maybe some of the things that he has tried start to work. So I think this will be the sort of clearest Liverpool performance you'll see of the pre-season, apart from, obviously, as you mentioned, the Manchester City game on Sunday. But, you know, whether the result follows is another thing.
Well, this is it. I'm more really concerned about how we're going to line up. I mean, do you think that we're going to begin to see indicators of how the team's going to look, not necessarily against City, but against Norwich?
I think we've been seeing that anyway, to be fair. I think, you know, obviously we've had these, what we call them, like the best lads, I suppose, coming back, but I don't think you can expect to see many of them, well, any of them tonight, probably not many of them against Manchester City either. So I think that sort of, you know, Mignolet in goal, the full defence as it has been for the last few games with probably, I think it'll be Matip who he looks to be going with, although with some of Matip's recent performances, I'm not really sure why he's not going back to Joe Gomez, but, you know, that's up to Jurgen to make that decision. Midfield, I think, broadly picks itself, some sort of combination of Henderson, Wijnaldum, Milner, because then I think you're going to need Chamberlain for the flanks, and to be fair, you could even argue that you need Wijnaldum for the flanks, and then Fabinho comes into that.
No, it's interesting. I mean, obviously, like I said, we are really excited about getting the big boys back, but they are right at the beginning of their pre-season, so to expect too much out of them, I think, is a little bit too much. Alisson's possibly the only one who people are starting to think we may see quicker, sooner rather than later, because obviously goalkeepers tend to be more durable.
Yeah.
They tend to need less to get back up to the level. And I mean, if you've seen the pictures of him, how he looks, but as he come back, he looks pretty smart. He looks pretty sharp.
And I've seen the pictures of the lads doing the lactate test as well, and he wasn't involved in that, so I assume that's the sort of conscious decision they make not to have the goalkeepers involved in that, and then he just goes into more sort of ball work and things like that by the looks of what he was doing. So, you know, maybe he's one who could get, you know, half an hour, maybe even just 15 minutes tonight, and then that sets him up well for Sunday. Obviously, that would be a big boost, given that Mignolet's had an up and down pre-season, let's say. Yeah, Alisson would be a huge boost. To be honest, I was hoping that maybe Keita and Shaqiri had been back working hard at Melwood and would come back into this, but by the sort of things that the club have been putting out, it maybe is just a bit too soon for them. Obviously, you know, for the likes of Salah and Firmino, who've literally been on holiday, it will come too soon for them. But yeah, it would be interesting to see how many of them make the bench for Sunday, how many of them are just sort of in and around it tonight, I suppose.
And of course, we need to kind of make a little bit of mention of our opponents, Lyon, a team that we've been linked with in a lot of ways over the last 12 months. Interesting, when this deal to do this friendly was originally made, I wonder what odds you'd have got on Nabil Fekir being on neither team. Probably quite high. But there are still some players in that Lyon team who we reportedly have had our eye on, the likes of Maxwell Cornet and obviously Hassan Aouar. He's probably the one that most Liverpool fans are going to be keeping their eye on, do you think?
Yeah, and I was reading the Echo live blog today as well, and I think, was it like the Lyon president had come out and said that, Moussa Dembele is not for sale, and the Echo said, we've been tentatively linked with him, and I was like, have we? I guess we've just been tentatively linked with everybody in the football world, to be honest, because that had completely passed me by, Moussa Dembele. To be honest, I forgot Moussa Dembele actually played for them, because obviously he moved there from Celtic, hadn't he? So, Hassan Mouar, though, like he's a player that I'm excited to see. It's interesting in these pre-season games because there's a few players that you're looking forward to seeing on the other team. So in Indiana it was Sancho I was looking forward to sort of getting to see firsthand. Against Lisbon I was looking forward to getting to see Bruno Fernandes, albeit I didn't expect him to perform quite so well. So could have done with him scaling that back a little bit. But yeah, he's just another one who, going into this game, I'm looking forward to seeing, looking forward to sort of getting a gauge of his style, the way he plays in that Lyon system, and almost comparing that to whether he could maybe hack it in a Liverpool system.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's going to be quite a few people superimposing a red shirt over the top of him. As for Fernandes, I think Mignolet was actually just trying to welcome him to the club. That was what it was. Simon, always doing your best for the team. We love you for it. But no, in all seriousness, the game tonight, I believe kickoff is 6 p.m. Yeah. It's going to be shown on LFC TV if you have that, and if not, you will have to catch highlights wherever you can find them. But it's going to be interesting. I'm really hopeful that we are, like I said at the top of the show, going to see more of the Liverpool that we have seen previously. But I want to do a slightly wider point on the whole pre-season, because there are a lot of people who are concerned. I mean, other non-Liverpool FC outlets have been asking me, how concerned are we about these pre-season results? I mean, the results themselves, personally, I'm not concerned at all about it. The performances, maybe a little bit more when you think about down the future in times when the players who haven't been playing may well not be playing in the future. How are you feeling going into this new season? I'm
calm, to be honest. I've been sort of paying close attention to everything that Klopp's been saying over the course of pre-season, and I think you can make mitigating circumstances for specific games here and there. You can talk about the heat in some of the games in America. You can talk about Sevilla literally trying to maim all of our players. That's obviously doesn't help in terms of your preparation. But I think also it's just been massively intense. We're going into a game against Manchester City on Sunday, who I think they've played about like 4 pre-season games over the course of it. We're due to play, I think, 7, is it? So, we're having a much more intense pre-season programme than anybody else is. Klopp's got these guys working so hard. This week in Evian's going to be the most intense of that as well. And he came out and said about Ryan Brewster that he'd been putting in performances which had showed promise to him, but then the intensity had maybe got to his legs a little by the end. I expect that's probably the case for quite a few of them, not just Brewster, even though he's obviously the one who's newest to it. So I'm not particularly worried by performance levels. I think that sort of comes with time over the course of pre-season. I think, if it's not necessarily if you trust Klopp. I know everyone's entitled to their opinion. Everyone's entitled to question the manager as well at times, and when they feel they need to question. And for me though, I just don't think this is the time to be questioning him. I've got full faith that him and his coaching staff who've been doing a brilliant job with the players in terms of their fitness and things like we didn't have many muscle injuries over the course of last season. Most of our big injuries seem to be impact ones. You think about Joe Gomez sliding into the hoardings in Burnley. Think about Chamberlain's one the season before was him going too hard into a challenge. Joel Matip against Napoli, Salah against Madrid as well, if you go back as far as that, including the Chamberlain one. So yeah, I'm not particularly worried. I think we'll be up to speed by the time we need to be up to speed, and hopefully that is Sunday. But if it's not that point, then hopefully it's the Premier League season at least. Yeah, no, I think you and I have probably got an advantage in the fact we've seen a lot of Klopp press conferences, and so we can kind of read between the lines of how he's feeling. I watched the one before the Community Shield, and I got the impression that he really didn't want the pre-season to have 7 games in it and be all over the place. Do you feel like maybe that's something over the course of when we kind of get to next summer, he's going to have more influence over, or is it just going to be a case of FSG need to do what they need to do to keep the commercial side going? I think it's tough, to be honest, and I'm not even sure if the blame sort of falls at FSG's door. I think the club have a commercial responsibility to not only the fans abroad to be able to get to see their team, but also to continue to expand the brand and to continue making Liverpool the sort of global success that it is. So I think if you're not going to America, then you may be going over to Australia or somewhere, because anywhere else you go, the conditions are going to be even less ideal for you. And I've seen United were over in China, I think, and the conditions there looked absolutely horrendous. And I know they only played a few games there, and it was probably slightly less intense than what Liverpool were getting up to over in America. But I think the way that Klopp influences it, or Klopp and his team influence it, is with the opponents. I think you've seen sort of not necessarily similar styles of opponents, but opponents that you almost know are going to be giving you the things that Liverpool need to test themselves ahead of the new season. So you've got Dortmund and Sevilla and Lisbon were all teams that were going to pressure. Napoli are a team that, you know, last season I thought dealt with Liverpool the best I'd seen any team deal with them in terms of, you know, stopping that supply from the fullbacks. So I think, you know, you can make sort of excuses for what's been going on and things like that, but I don't see how the club can change it up that much, so I sort of expect similar to happen next pre-season. You know, whether Klopp decides to, you know, complain about it or not, that's up to him. Not
We'll
to
have
us.
to wait and see on that one. Although I think my dream of a Liverpool tour to Africa is seeming further and further away. It's a shame. Okay, so here on the Anfield Wrap, as always, we have lots of stuff to tell you about. First and most, we've actually got a merch sale going on right now. Loads of our stock, all of the previous stuff, the Mo Salah stuff, the Naby Keita stuff, some of the European Cup stuff. It's all out there. Go onto the website, fill your boots.
Up to 66% as well, so there's massive deals to be had there.
66%? Where did you come up with that magical number? I can't
I think Craig
imagine.
must have just been counting on his fingers and then eventually got to that. So
Bless him. So yeah, you go and replenish your wardrobe with clothes befitting European Champions fans. And we've got more shows coming out today, most of which I'm going to be involved in one way or another. There's The Gutter, which I'm not involved in. We've got Alphabet Soup. I still don't even know what letter we're talking about today. So that's going to be interesting because we're recording it literally after this show. We've got another transfer request video that's coming with the vote. It's now available on Twitter for, well, actually, by the time this comes out, it'll probably be over. But we'll be recording that later today, so keep an eye out for that one as well. So yeah, that's today. We've got one more game before the real games start. Big thank you to Josh for sitting here with me. See you next week.